Hello everyone and welcome to another BlenderMadeEasy tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to render super realistic simulations in Blender in just a few minutes using OpenVDBs. What is an OpenVDB? OpenVDB is an open source software library developed by DreamWorks. Its primary use is for working with sparse volumetric data. Hence the name VDB, which stands for Voxel Database or Volumetric Database. Basically, if you have a software that supports OpenVDBs, you can create a volumetric simulation and then export it into any other software that also supports OpenVDBs. And of course, this includes Blender. This means that any program specifically made for simulations like Embergen or Houdini can simulate as a VDB file, and from there we can import that into Blender and render it out. And that is what this video is all about. Now you can also create a simulation in Blender as a VDB file and import it into other scenes if you wanted to. You can do this by making sure the file type in the domain settings is set to OpenVDB, and then make sure you set a directory of where you want your files to go to. After that, bake the simulation, and then you'll see all of the files in the folder that you specified. There are many different libraries for downloading OpenVDBs, but the one that I think is the very best and the highest quality simulations out there is PixelLab. They have a huge selection of really nice simulations to choose from. They've got explosions, storms, nebulas, and even atomic explosions. I've set up an affiliate link down in the description if you want to check it out. For this tutorial, we'll be downloading this free aerial explosion from PixelLab. So again, click the other link in the description, follow the instructions, and you'll be able to download it. Here we are in a brand new scene, and what we're going to do first is of course delete the default cube. Now to add that volumetric simulation in, we need to press Shift A, go over to Volume, and then select Import OpenVDB. Navigate to where your file is. We're going to select the free aerial explosion, select this folder right here, and we should be able to see all of the different files. Make sure the start frame is at 1 and it goes down this way. If for some reason the highest number is at the top, come up to this menu and then select Sort by Name instead of Modified Date. You can see there 80 is at the top. We need to make sure that name is set at the very top. Then press A to select everything and go Import OpenVDB. There we go, we can see it in our scene. So now if we zoom out a little bit and hit the spacebar to play it, we can see this big explosion. Now that is looking pretty good, but it's currently starting right at frame 1. I want there to be a little bit of time before it explodes. And to do that, we need to go over to the Data tab right here. Here we can see all of the OpenVDB settings, and we can change the start frame, how it looks in the viewport, and we're going to be going through all of these in just a second. First off, here is the directory of where our files are, and then underneath that we have the sequence. So if this is turned off, it's just going to be a static singular VDB file, but when we enable sequence, it's actually going to explode. Here we have the number of frames that we want in our animation, the start frame, and the offset. For the start frame, we're going to actually go up to a value of 50. Here we can change how it looks in the viewport. Let's just go ahead and skip to right about here. There's a couple different options. If we go into the wireframe view, this is currently set to boxes and bounds. It seems like boxes and bounds are exactly the same, but from what I saw online, boxes should have little boxes all over the simulation, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. We also have an option for points if we wanted to see the different points in the simulation, and then the detail amount, coarse or fine. Fine will give us a lot more points, and then coarse is just for the main points of the simulation. And again, this is only for wireframe. If we go back into solid view, we can see the explosion. I'm just going to leave it on bounds, and I think that will look pretty good. As for the density, this is what will affect the solid view. If we drag this value up, it's going to increase the density of our smoke. I'm just going to leave it at a value of 1. Interpolation allows us to see more detail in the explosion in our viewport, but I've noticed there's very minimal detail here. Cubic is for the highest quality. If we select that, nothing really changes. It looks exactly the same, but it's slowing down our computer quite a bit. So I'm going to leave it on linear. Sliced is an interesting one. If you have a slower computer and this is really bogging down your system, you can turn on slice, and this will cut the simulation into a slice, as you can see there. The position value allows you to change where it's sliced at, and then the axis will also change. If I only want to display it on the x-axis, you can see it like that. So this will help if it's really slowing down your system. I'm just going to leave that off for now so we can see the entire thing. The render tab here, there's only one option, and this is because we're in Eevee. If we come over to the render tab and switch this render engine from Eevee over to Cycles, we're going to have a lot more options for this render tab. First off, the step size is the quality of the simulation. With it set to 0, it's going to automatically determine how many steps that it needs to render to give us the best quality. I think leaving it at 0 for the most part is a good option. The clipping value allows us to clip certain areas of the simulation that aren't very dense. For example, if we go into the rendered view, over here there's not a lot of dense smoke. So if we were to drag this value up, you're going to see it starts to clip off those values. I'm just going to leave it at the lowest value just in case anything starts to clip out, which we don't want. The precision here gives us more detail in the simulation for the render, but I've noticed though, even with the full option, there is hardly any difference at all. The only thing that I saw was just a slight shadow on the bottom of the simulation, and I also noticed that full actually rendered a couple seconds faster than half did. So I'm going to switch it over to the full option. Down here for the velocity, this is for motion blur. The velocity unit determines if you want to set the motion blur per frame or per second, and then the velocity scale is the amount of motion blur in your scene. This also correlates to the motion blur over in the render tab right here. If you enable the motion blur, you can set the amount here, and then you can also set the velocity scale here. For example, if you want some objects in your scene to have more motion blur, you can bring up the motion blur here, but then you can bring down the velocity scale here to not affect the simulation motion blur. So now that we've gone through all of those settings, let's set up the material. First, we're going to go over to the Material tab, create a new one, and then we're going to open up a new window by clicking and dragging the top right corner and switching this over to the Shader Editor. Now there are two attributes that we want to use for our material. If we jump back over to the Volumetric tab, we can see we have a couple of different attributes here: density, scatter, and temperature. These, if we select them, it'll switch between those different attributes and you can see them on screen. Density is for the smoke, and temperature is what we're going to use to create that fire look. So to do this, over into the shader editor, we're going to press Shift A. We're going to add in a new attribute node, place that right here, and then in the name, copy the exact name here, all lowercase. We're going to just type temperature. And now if we take the factor, we can plug it into the emission strength. If we press Z and go into the rendered view, we should be able to see what this looks like. That is looking pretty good. Now, what we need to do next is clamp down on that values so that the fire is not everywhere, but it's only in the parts that we want. To do this, we're going to press Shift A, add in a converter and color ramp. Place that right here. We're going to take the black handle and drag it over to the right until we clamp down on the effects. Something like that looks pretty good. If we jump back a couple of frames, we can see what it looks like. And there we go. That is more of the look that I want. Next, to control how bright this is going to be, we're going to add in another converter math node, place that right here, and switch the mode over to multiply. This bottom value now controls how bright the simulation is going to be. Let's go up to a value of around 20. That's looking pretty good. Next, we need to change the color of it, so we're going to add in another color ramp node, place that right here. Take the factor again, plug it into the color ramp, and then take the color and plug this into the emission color of our principled volume shader. Now here we can add in a new handle. We'll add that in. We'll switch this over to a nice red color, something like this. A little bit more orange, right about there looks pretty good. And then for the white handle, let's go with a more yellowish orange color. Somewhere around here will look pretty good. So now we have this very fiery looking color. Now you might notice that our simulation is still very white and not very saturated. And the reason for that is if we jump over to the render properties, come down here to the color management, the view transform is set to AGX, which I noticed desaturates the colors quite a bit. If we switch it over to Filmic, we're going to get more of that color. And then if we change the look right here to high contrast, we're going to get a really nice saturated color. At this point, I think it's a little bit oversaturated, so I might drag this a little bit more towards the center. Something like that will look pretty good. Maybe drag this over as well to get some more of that orange color. And that is looking really nice. As for the smoke, we're going to bring up the density to make it look a lot more interesting. We're going to go up to a value of around 25. Maybe a little bit less than that. Let's try 20. And I think that looks pretty good. Let's also select the lamp in the outliner right here and delete it. We're not going to need it in our scene. And now for the lighting, we're going to be adding in an HDR. Come over to the world settings, click on the little color icon right here, and select environment texture. Click on open, and if you want to use the same HDR I'm using, I'll put the link in the description. The one that I found looks pretty nice is this one right here. It's called Gardens 2K. Go ahead and select it and then go open image. And there we can see it in our scene. The other thing I want to do is I want to position my camera somewhere around here, looking up at the sky to give us a nice sense of scale. So what I'll do next before we change the settings in the world settings is I'm going to place my camera right about here or so, then press Ctrl Alt Numpad 0, and that's going to move the camera right to our position. Now you might notice it disappeared, and the reason for that is if we select the camera by clicking on the outside, go over to the camera settings, the clipping value is set to 100. So that means anything past 100 meters is going to be gone. We want to bring this up much higher to around 10,000. Now we should see it in our scene. Let's position the camera, zoom out a little bit. Something like that will look pretty good. Now if we press Z and go into the render preview, we should be able to see what this looks like. Now for the rotation of the world, if we come up here to the right side in this window and switch this from object over to world, we can see our environment texture right here. What we need to do to rotate this is if you have the Node Wrangler add-on, you can press Ctrl T while hovering over this environment texture. That's going to automatically add a mapping and texture coordinate node. If you don't have the Node Wrangler add-on, just come over here to the mapping and then press Shift A and also add in the texture coordinate right here. For the mapping, if we change the rotation value, this is going to change the rotation of the sky. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and I want to rotate this till we get something like that, where we get some really nice, interesting clouds in the background. That is looking pretty good. And at this point, we're basically done. If we wanted to just render this out right now, we could. But I think one more thing that we could do to make this a lot more interesting is to animate the camera zooming in on this explosion and giving it a little bit of random movement. So what I'll do is I'll first select the camera. I'm going to come over to the focal length and I'm going to set this down to around 32. Then what I'll do is I'll press R, then X, and I'll just rotate it so it's right about here or so. I'm going to make sure I don't see any trees in the background. I'm going to rotate it up slightly like that. We're going to jump to frame 1. And what I'll do is with the camera selected, I'm going to hit K and then add in a rotation keyframe. Then over on the focal length, I'm also going to add in a keyframe next to the focal length here. Next, we're going to jump all the way to frame 50 or so. We're going to rotate the camera up a little bit like this. And then we'll zoom in by going up to around 55. That looks pretty good. And then add in another keyframe and then also make sure that we added our keyframe for our rotation by hitting K and selecting rotation. So now here is the effect that we get. You can see it zooms in and the explosion happens. And that is looking really cool. I think the rotation is actually a bit too much. So I'm going to jump here, rotate it down slightly, and press K and add in another rotation keyframe. Next, we're going to jump all the way to frame 120, add in another rotation keyframe, and then add in another focal length keyframe, so it lasts for about 70 frames. Then we'll jump to frame 190, rotate this down a little bit, and then zoom back out by going to around 32, add in a keyframe here, then press K and add in a rotation keyframe as well. So here is the full result. It zooms in, the explosion happens, and then right about here it starts to zoom back out, which is exactly what I want. As for the end frame, I'm going to go with a value of around 210. Now overall, this is looking pretty good so far, but there's one more step that we need to do. You might notice that it's very static, that nothing is really happening with the camera. It's very still. It looks a little bit boring. So what we can do to make this a lot more interesting is by adding some random movement to our scene. Let's come up here to the menu. We're going to split this view once again, and then select the menu here and switch it over to the graph editor. What we want to do is open up the object transform, and we're going to be adding some random rotation to all of these different accesses. Over on the right side, we're going to come up to here, select add modifier, and choose noise. If we play the animation, we'll restart real quick and play it. Here's the effect that we're getting. It's way too strong, so we're going to bring this down quite a bit. For the scale, we're going to go up to a value of 30. For the strength, we're going to go down to 0.03. And then for the depth, I'm going to go up to a value of 1. So now, here's the effect that we get. Very subtle movement, as you can see, and that is looking pretty good. The other thing I want to do is add a more crazy rotation right when the explosion happens, so the camera kind of like bounces a little bit. To do that, we're going to jump to frame 50. We're going to add in another modifier, noise. For this one, we're going to set the scale up to a value of 2. The strength, we're going to go down to 0.01. And then we're also going to restrict this to only happen right at frame 50. So we're going to check the restriction option, open this up. The start frame is going to be 50 and the end frame is going to be 60. So only 10 frames long for this noise pattern. I'm also going to blend this in a little bit so we get a smooth transition into that heavy movement. We're going to go up to a value of 4. So here is the effect now. You can see there's a little bit of movement right there when it happens, and that is looking pretty good. Now, to copy both of these modifiers to the other accesses, just click on this button on the side, select it with a y-axis, and paste that in. The other thing we want to do is bring up the offset so it's not using the exact same noise pattern. Let's go up to 200 for both of these right here, 200. Then we'll select the Z rotation, paste this in as well. We'll go up to 400 this time for both of the offsets. There we go. So now let's go ahead and close this off. We're not going to need it anymore. We'll restart the animation and play it. And here is the effect that we get. That is looking really nice. And that's basically all we really need to do. From here, we can go ahead and render this out. I'm going to jump over to the render scene panel. We're going to set the max samples to around 25. We don't really need too many samples for this scene. Go over to the output tab and make sure to set a file of where you want your file to go to. And then once you've done that, just go over to render and then select render animation. And there we go. We've now created a full high-res explosion scene in just a few minutes using OpenVDBs. Thank you again to Pixel Lab for making this video possible. Be sure to check them out in the description if you want some really high quality VFX assets. If you made something cool from this tutorial, make sure to send it to me on Instagram at BlenderMadeEasy. And if you have other ideas you would like to see, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.